Hello, hello. I think, yes, we're there. We're there. That's fantastic. Hello, folks. You're already there. Hello, JF. Good. And hello, Fernando. Well done. Marvelous. And welcome to you all. So, hello, four of you. Lovely. When you drop in, do say hello so that we know who's with us, because that is really, really helpful. And my goodness, it's been a long time yet again. Weeks have passed. Christmas has passed. The new year has passed since we were here last. Okay, let's crack on. So today's live, I've titled it Living in Uncertain Times, How Intuition Helps You Navigate Life. Intuition. I think if anybody is really still stuck in the very human level of energy, the very human day-to-day level of existence, then I suspect that they feel pretty terrible, quite frankly, because the energies that are flying around at the moment are really asking everybody to waken up, to raise their resonance, to become empowered for themselves by the spiritual energy that is everywhere. Some people say that that's energy that's coming from the sun, and yeah, that might be the case. And how wonderful is that if it is the case? A good channel, actually, out of interest, is a channel run by Stefan Burns. Talks a lot about solar activity, no matter how you want to take it. But today, what we're going to be talking about is intuition. We're going to be talking about dowsing, mindfulness, meditation, but above all, about this subjective aspect, the subjective way that we can perceive life and actually take our energy higher, to a higher level. And by taking our energy up to that higher level through our own subjective awareness, through the lens that we use to see life, we are literally changing the reality that we experience. Not only do we change it for ourselves, we change it for those around us. So that has to be a good goal, doesn't it? Fantastic. Look at you all. How wonderful. Who have we got? Good. Anne, hello. Hello, well done. Right, well done, Anne. Good for you. You'll have to remind me, drop me a note. I can't remember whether you're wanting a copy of the book or not. Anne, never mind, we'll see. JF, yes, Stefan Burns, probably. Can't tell. Let's try that one out. And Emulsifier, well, fancy seeing you there. How very lovely. Have you got my book yet? It'll be with you, Emulsifier, soon, if not today. You're wanting a book, or have you got a book, Robbie Finn? Okay, enough about the book for the moment. We'll come back to that later. It's wonderful. Let's thank you. You've seen that it arrived today. Good, that's fantastic. Yeah, okay, fantastic, lovely. JF is moderating today. We're also accompanied by Fernando. Fernando's doing some lovely work on the channel. Some of you might be aware that YouTube completely changed its algorithm at the sort of autumn of last year. And so we've taken that as a cue to really get our act together over here, or try to. Bless them, JF and Fernando are helping me. And we're organizing playlists so that you can actually follow a path through from learning to dowse, which is the opening tool for intuition, all the way through to really following that path and exploring yourself, exploring the self-development aspect, the divine within, if you like, exploring a simple spiritual path through dowsing and self-discovery. That is the whole point. That's where we're going. And that's hopefully what we're going to make much clearer on the channel. There are something like 400 videos on this channel now. Isn't that insane? It's no wonder people get confused when they look at it. So there's a couple of points of more of housekeeping before we dive into the questions. And please do ask any questions as we go through. Oh, Tina Zimmer, book in hand. How lovely. Fantastic. That's great. Good to know. Do ask any questions you want to as we go through. Those of you that aren't familiar with the lives, the format of these things, don't wait for a lull in the monologue, if that's what it's going to be. Just ask the question, and JF will keep me on track, or Fernando will, one of the two of them, if I seem to have missed your question. So keep it there. If you want to address a direct question to me, do use @KnightsRose. It's a lot easier for me to see, but otherwise do just enjoy the chat amongst yourselves over there. Yeah, now look, admin, housekeeping. I've moved on. I've written some notes today. I've been very organized. It's not really helping. So now what you'll see when you do look at the channel actually is you'll see, or you won't see, that there are quite a number of videos from my mentor, Hamish Miller, that are currently not showing up. We are intending to get those back online as soon as possible, but we've had a little bit of an issue with some of that stuff. It's quite old material. Some of it made in 2003. So we've had to pull it just temporarily, and we will be putting it back on the channel as and when we can. That if anybody isn't familiar with that material, the Hamish Miller videos are fantastic ways to kind of just allow yourself to sink into the idea of dowsing, and to hear a great expert in the skill talking about it and sharing his wisdom and his knowledge and his love of nature as well. So do pay attention to that. Now, the other thing is that Hamish Miller was a great dowser, but we, the dowsing community, has lost a great dowser. I feel quite surprisingly choked up about this. Rory Duff was a fantastic dowser, and he contributed so much to the understanding of earth energy for everybody around the world. And he was passionate about getting as many people as possible to become aware of the earth center nodes, the nodes of earth energy, where the crossing points are around the world on the big lines. It was the big network, as far as I could see, that Rory was really keen on. Bless him, he passed away. He, as they say, he lost his battle to illness fairly recently. So Rory is no longer with us in the physical, but of course he is always with all of us as we pick up a dowsing rod or a pendulum or interact with earth energy in spirit, just the same way as Hamish is. And you'd be surprised how often Hamish pops up, even for people that don't know who on earth he is. This bearded gentleman suddenly appears. It's hilarious. So bless him. Rory did amazing work. And people like Gary Vasey. Now, Gary, JF, could you pop Gary Vasey's channel in the chat? Because Gary, he may or may not want me to say this, but Gary does some great work over there on his channel, exploring earth energy, and he does it in a very grounded way. Now, Rory and Gary were very close. They were good friends. And a lot of Rory's knowledge and information is shared by Gary, because Gary has the same kind of mind. He has a scientific mind. I don't have a scientific mind. Rory and Gary shared this kind of approach. And there are others as well. There's Paul Sirrett, if he's still around, that very powerful human beings. I don't know why they're all men, but there you go. But Gary Vasey's worth a watch. Do check out his channel. That's great. And the other thing is that our last bit of housekeeping, and then we'll get into some meaty stuff about portals, earth energy portals, and all of that thing, which is quite interesting. I've got a very specific question about that to answer, which I think could take us into some interesting avenues. But the last bit of housekeeping is that there's a filmmaker, a guy called Marin Poels. So Poels, Marin Poels. Now, Marin is a Dutch filmmaker. He lives in Germany. Marin came to visit me this time last year, just as he was starting making a film called Primordial Code 3, the third of a trilogy. Primordial Code 3, Return to the Stars. So what he wanted to know about, what Marin wanted to know about, was earth energy and earth energy lines, and what was the work that Hamish did, and what are, he called them ley lines. I had to try to correct him. We'll go into that and we'll bit in a minute as well. So Marin Poels, he has this film coming out the 20th of February. It does feature a few clips of yours truly. One of the things that I'm talking about in there is the nature of earth energy, and fundamentally the stuff that we talk about on here, the way that it is integral to our experience of reality, the dimension in which we live. So do keep an eye out for that movie by Marin. Please do support him. He's a fully crowdfunded filmmaker, so he's a good man. He's genuinely exploring what it means to be a human being from his perspective, and that's what his films are about, which is great. So there we go. That's mainly housekeeping. There you go. Now look, I do encourage you, folks, to sorry, I can't do two things at once, can I? I do encourage you to ask questions, whether it's now as we go through this hour or so together, or just generally, if you pop back to the channel, just drop questions in the comments. I will always try to answer them. And as you may or may not have realized, most of what I share is based on my experience. So that's not to say that my experience is the right way to do everything or the right view on everything. What I ask is that people simply listen, because it might help. And if it does, that's fantastic. But if it doesn't, that's fine. Just put it to one side and go somewhere else where you find more information that resonates closer with where you are at that point in time. I mean, let's face it, how can any one person have all the answers? But do ask the questions, because it really helps us understand where people are, where we're at as you find the channel. It's really very, very helpful. Okay, so Matt was in touch. He asked a great question. And what Matt was asking about was a specific thing with an experience that he'd had. Now, a lot of people get interested in what I would describe as subtle energy, the subtle energy of experience, this stuff that we can encounter and experience at the edge of our, accessibility with the five senses. Dear old Hamish used to refer to dowsing as being the 5.5 sense. But really, there's so much in that liminal space, in that threshold, passing through to spirit, and that we can access, because it's really part of the energy of us as human beings, but in the non-physical sense, right? So it's like that when we access this liminal energy, this threshold energy, this stuff that is there for us, we are doing so on a subjective basis, and we are doing so in order to fundamentally learn. A lot of people come to it, though, from the perspective of it being the paranormal. I tend to regard it actually as the complete normal, because just because it's part of being human. Now, the thing is with coming at it all from the paranormal is it means that people are going off on the ghost hunts. And I don't mean to judge, and I'm not judging. I'm not judging. I think it's wonderful if people want to go off and find out more about the subtle realms through ghost hunting or exploration with EMF meters into spooky places. That's great. But what's really, really important is to understand what you're doing and what you're encountering as you do that process. Now, often when we encounter subtle energy, we often don't understand what we're doing, because it all comes to us very, very new. It's all, wow, this is amazing. Why hadn't I seen this before? And, you crack on. And sometimes some unfortunate things happen. But for Matt, this guy, I'm not, again, definitely not judging him. I have actually no idea about his background, but he has a little story that he's gone to a particular castle with some mediums and psychics, and they've been using dowsing rods to find out what's going on there. And Matt actually says that it was, let me read this. So he's gone to a castle with a group of people who were mediums and psychics and using dowsing rods. And one of them said that the negative energies were coming through the vortex that were causing problems for the historical positive spirits that were visiting the castle. And the medium says that the energies could flow much better. So Matt's question, bearing in mind that it's not his experience, which sort of is a little bit like, oh, okay, well, so he's asking third hand in a way. Hello, Nancy, good to see you. So Matt's asking, is it just negative energies from the lower planes that come through vortices? And does a portal work in the same way as a vortex? Is it a doorway? Right, there are several other questions here, including one about, can spirits enter a castle that sits on 4 ley lines, energy lines, not ley lines, energy lines, right? where when there is water below the castle in the valley. Well, we'll talk about that because water is very much a thing that is used as a barrier and has a property within magic, specific magic ceremonies and that sort of thing. So we'll talk about water in a second. Let's just touch off on the first question. And the reason I raised it today is because it touches on many different aspects that we all kind of question at one time or another. And it also, all of Matt's questions also raise another point, which I'll talk about afterwards, which is about grounding and how important it is to be grounded. Now, is it just negative energies from lower planes that come through vortices? Right, the answer to that is simple, and the answer is no. Does a portal work in the same way as a vortex, and is it a doorway? Okay, so one of the things that I think most of you have been here in these lives before. So you know that we often use labels in the metaphysical spiritual arena, which actually mean one thing to one person and one thing to another. So I'm just gonna go through in a second and just identify what I regard as portals and vortices. But also most of you will know, hopefully, but some people on playback might not, that I come at everything from what's called a non-materialist perspective, okay? So what I absolutely believe, and this is in the sciencey area, is that all the material things that we experience, all matter, basically life, comes up from the quantum realm, is manifest from the quantum realm, from the field of possibility, field of infinite possibility, in fact, which is pretty crucial. And it comes up into form, into atomic structures. It is there present for us. And it happens, wham, instantly, fundamentally. So reality is constantly being created, instantly forming. Now, that's important. And it's important because it directly relates to the way that we, as a living being, interpret the field that we are creating with. Now, I might have lost you already, but let's put it into Matt's question. So Matt, as an aspect of consciousness, has gone into a castle, which again is an aspect of consciousness that he and his friends are encountering. And he's come across an instance where low energy appears to be flowing through a vortex, a portal. Are all portals vortices? Are all vortices portals? Yeah, I think we can consider that all vortices, if you find a vortex, a spiral of earth energy, and we're talking about earth energy here, and we're not talking about ley lines either. There's a difference. I'll come back to that shortly. I think we can consider that a vortex of energy that we normally douse as a spiral, because we're dousing the three-dimensional form as a two-dimensional form, because you go across it like that in 2 dimensions. So that spiral that you find, the vortex of energy, we can pretty much say that that is a form of a portal, right? But this word portal, it summons up all sorts of different images for different people. But fundamentally, as far as I'm concerned, a portal is simply a doorway. It is an opening from one state of presence to another state of presence. You pass through it. Your awareness changes as you access a portal. Now, if you think about it, we as human beings are portals for the greater, higher consciousness that comes through us, right? Because the consciousness comes through us, it is transformed in its process within us, in the bodily function and in the energy function of us being. And what we do is we feed back information back up the vibration levels up to higher consciousnesses. Let's just stick with consciousness. So in a way, we are portals because we are acting as a change of resonance for that information flow. So when Matt is going into this castle and encountering the vortices, I'll keep it simple now from now on. He may well be encountering portals. He is encountering what he encounters through his subjective experience. It's his personal view of everything. So his actual question is coming to me secondhand from the medium who has done the Okay, I can feel, she, I'm assuming, is a sensitive, and is feeling her way into what's going on. And what she's perceiving is that there are negative energies present coming through this portal, and they are stopping, or they seem to be inhibiting some of the more positive spirits that are wanting to come through. Now, so in fact, this is an area where we can look at it symbolically. So there is, if we take that apart again, and I'm not in any way criticizing anybody here. And for heaven's sake, don't feel that you don't want to send in a question because I'm going to criticize. The last thing I do is criticize. What I'm trying to do is to help explain, to everybody, the way that I interpret this sort of stuff. And the picture that is being presented here by the medium in finding out what she's finding in the vortex and in the portal is that really what she's got is a darker, lower blockage type energy getting in the way of more productive and positive and light energy. And really, if you think about it, right, all healing is when we work on ourselves. It's exactly that. What we're doing when we're working on ourselves and developing ourselves and improving our own outlook on life is we are removing the stuff that makes us feel crap, and influences the way we see life. We're removing that and we're allowing more flow, more light through into our life, right? So when we go to a place like a castle, which is a site of potentially of battles, it may never have been used in battle, but certainly it was a fortification. So the energy of the building was built, the intention of the building was something made for defense or something made for fortification. So immediately you've got a conflict situation that is being encountered. And then let's say it's Matt. It's not Matt himself, it's a friend of Matt's. But Matt is then discovering this portal and the flow of energy is being inhibited by the darker energy. And really what I would suggest is that, yeah, that's it can be regarded on human level as, yeah, that's happening. But from a point of view of developing oneself and one's awareness and actually opening oneself up to higher energy vibrations, you can look at it symbolically and say, oh, look at that. Look what that's representing for me. And it's the me that is seeing and witnessing, and therefore it's symbolic. Okay. It's not to say that the real human situation doesn't exist. It does exist. But the power of learning, the energy learning of that circumstance and the context of that exchange is in its symbolism, is in recognizing the symbolism. Now, what Matt's asking, he's not talking about that. He's not really interested in that. What Matt is asking is a vortex a portal? Yeah, we can look at it like that, can't we? And is it just negative energies from lower planes that come through vortices? No, it's not. Okay, so can spirit, let's go on to that. Let's just see here what's going on here. Here we go. Hello, Anne, nice to see you. Great, good. I was thinking about you just before we connected in. Your books will be on their way to you too, or your book. Do click the thumbs up, by the way, if you're enjoying this. If you're not enjoying this, don't click anything. Okay. So let's come back to this water thing. Matt's question, see, there's another one of these questions from Matt, is that can spirits enter a castle that sits on 4 energy lines where there is water below the castle in the valley? And I suspect that his question is based on the principle of magic, and the principle of water has been in some schools of magic regarded as a barrier. So water can be protective in the sense of, if you cross a river, quite often spirits or nasty stuff won't follow you across that water in that sense. And that's tradition. That's pretty much a tradition. And I believe that was even mentioned in one of Hamish Miller's books, this idea of water as a barrier. Now, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't practice magic and I'm not completely wedded to that concept. The way that I see it is that those energies that we regard as spirits can be anywhere, really. But you see, the thing is, don't let that put you off, because if you believe and are using magic in the practice that you are interacting with subtle energies with, then keep using water as a barrier if that's how you've been using it, because it will be working for you, because it has that's the benefit of magic. That's the magic is working on the intention, is working on the fundamental subtle energy, and is a part of everything. And so it's only how we use magic as an individual human being and subtle energy being that determines whether it's a useful practice or a non-useful practice. Just going back to Gary Vasey. Gary Vasey was a student of magic. I'm not sure what school of magic, but he's a lovely guy. So there you go. Hello, Langton Gambura. Hello, that's nice. You may be new. Welcome. So Matt has some more questions, and again, like I say, the reason I'm using Matt's question is because it's brilliant. It's got so many different facets that he's asking about, and I think it's helpful. I would hope it's helpful for you all. So where else does he go with this? Right. So his next question is: once you close down the portal and or vortex, does it immediately stop all spirits from visiting the castle? I'm aware that spirits like to visit the castle, but without the portal being open, does it mean they can't visit anymore? No, it doesn't. It doesn't work like that. So now, so what's happening here is that Matt is thinking of the situation like it's physical, real world situation. It's not. I mean, subtle energy doesn't function like that. It's how do I explain this for Matt? It's really more about, okay, let me put it another way. I'll go at this a different way, because when we're doing house healing, okay, we will find vortices, whether we regard them as portals or not. Is actually, in that case, in the house healing modality, it's sort of irrelevant, really. But what we find is that there can be detrimental spirits present. And what we do is we close any access points that we find. We don't do it. We ask upstairs. We ask the higher energies of creation to act on the behalf. We set the intention for what needs to change, and therefore they change it. So in our terms, in human terms, the portal is closed. The access to that space is closed. In the subtle energy realm, 3 dimensions actually are pretty irrelevant. And it's just about presence. It's about effect. If somebody is suffering in a house or a castle, if they're suffering with a detrimental spirit, then actually, you can kind of douse and find out, if you want to, where it's coming through in the 3-dimensional map of the world. But it's not relevant, really. It doesn't work like that. It just is present. It just is. Now, this is because in that realm and in that way of relating to that energy, which is it's an important thing, actually, when we look at the title of this live, which is, what's the title of this? Living in Uncertain Times, how intuition helps you navigate life. Right. So this concept is really quite important, because there's a difference between human separation. I know somebody complained about me waggling my hands about all over the place. I find it really difficult to stop. I'll try and stop. There's a difference between physical human perception and what we perceive in the spirit world. Okay? So it simply is not about separation. Once we are in the spirit realm, in the higher energies, separation as a concept, in other words, the aspect that makes something physical and hold its shape, is not relevant anymore. It is simply a presence. It is an energy. It is an energy. And the energy that we experience when we are dowsing for it or doing any healing work in that realm, in that frequency, is an energy of potential. It's not a thing. So we use labels to identify the things because we, as human beings in the physical realm, need to understand and communicate and process what it is that we're encountering. So we create it in our mind as a thing. We label it a thing. But the higher frequencies are not things. They simply are. Right? I mean, it's crazy. So how does that help? Well, what that means is that it's part of the step, as far as I'm concerned, about shifting perspective on our human existence. And this is really the fundamental of this title, how intuition helps us navigate life, especially in uncertain times. Because if we are able to see, if we are able to experience, what's the word I'm looking for? If we are able to understand, to live by the tenet that is, we are being created every moment. We are of a higher energy. This form is not the true us. We are constantly connected to the most tangible part of the true us, which is the higher self, which is a higher frequency of us anyway, right? So if we go higher and higher and just say, right, consciousness is all, everything is consciousness, and we are part of that, we process separation as it comes down into our being, our awareness. We are a separate being, we are a physical being, but we never lose sight of the fact that we are constantly created and we are constantly creating. Now, once we grasp that, then it allows us to detach from all of the worries and the fears, the things that keep us in the small self, and there are a lot of those every single moment of the day, that keep us in the small self, keep us in the separate physical self. And we have to be in the physical self. But what we're saying is, if we can grasp the idea that that is not us, that this is just not all of us, it's not everything that we are, clearly, right? Clear. I mean, you get to a stage where clearly it is clear. We are the creative, the ever-present, immortal, creative essence that is forming us in each moment. And therefore, that is the essence that we want to be linking into. And when we do that, we see life differently. And this idea that we can see life as symbolic becomes much more of a flow from image to image to image. And we start to separate out from the stuff that used to hassle us and cause us fear and pain. And we see that, oh, yes, that is a reflection of a part of me, the higher me, the bigger me. People say, how can it be a part of, how can all this crap that goes on be a part of the higher me, the bigger me, the higher, the divine essence that comes through? Well, the point is that everything is a part of the divine. Everything is a part of consciousness. Some people object to the word divine because it links straight into God, and therefore it's like, God, we're not talking about God, we're talking about consciousness. As far as I'm concerned, it's the same thing. So it's presence. Now, its presence, the divine presence, means that actually we are open to all aspects of creation, which unfortunately is how we can end up reflecting aspects that are pretty unpleasant. We can encounter some pretty unpleasant people, some pretty unpleasant situations, some pretty unpleasant things. But if we can see that, okay, that's something within me, within my energy, within the creative spark, the divine, the fractal of the divine, if you like, the essence of the divine that is within me and creating me, and the presence and the energy that is here, it's being shown to me because it needs addressing, it needs calming, it needs understanding, it needs compassion, it needs removing, changing. Change is the best word, it's the easiest word. And so that's it. You see, that's the thing. That's the essence. That's how we can indeed guide through unsettled times, uncertain times, because we actually realize that the uncertainty is fundamentally emanating from the reflection of the reflection of the reflection of the reflection. I meant to actually bring a little mirror along here, because life is a reflection of within, but also we reflect life. So we reflect other people's stuff. Okay, you know that probably. And I was going to hold a mirror up here to the camera, to the webcam. What we probably would have got, we either would have broken YouTube, or what we would have seen was the reflection, that massive reflection you get, when you hold two mirrors together and just go bam, and you get this infinite kind of tunnel effect. Because that's really what we get. We reflect, and we are reflections of. Because we are part of that infinite field of possibility, which is a divine field. Okay, sit with that for a sec. Yeah, great. Hey, look at that. Merlin's boy, good to see you. Hey, don't worry about it. Don't worry about it. Okay, don't know what that is. I've got a funny little notification down here. I don't know what that is. Oh, right. Sorry, it's just YouTube has put a tweak in that I've never seen before. Okay, so look, I think you got that. I think Matt has actually got. Have we got any questions, folks? Merlin's boy, you're. I know you're across most of this. Anybody got any questions? I'm quite happy to sort of branch off and come to something that you want to discuss. There are 20 of you there at the moment. You're all happy. Otherwise, I'll carry on with some of Matt's questions. But I'm hoping that you're seeing how we can work with that essence within to actually start to redress the way that we feel about the life that we might find ourselves in. Yeah, good for you. Good man. Brilliant. Good man. I have to say, actually, just picking up on that from Merlin's boy, I don't know whether everybody in attendance here is aware that there is so much energy of change and so much, it's not pressure, but it's impetus. The planets align to give us impetus now to really work on those aspects that we probably have been working on for the last few years, on and off, I really need to do that, X, Y, Z. Now, doing's not the whole thing, being's a big part of all of this business, but actually it's, as Amit Goswami always says, do, be, do, be, do. I'm not going to try and sing it, but do, be, do, be, do. Mix the doing with the being. But right now, there's a lot of impetus from the planets, the planetary energy, if we want to refer to that in the physical sense, and the energetic sense, that there's lots of change going on. And really, I think one of these fundamental things, you see, as the world wakes up, really, I mean, this is not a plug, but this is why I wrote the book, because to me, it all boils down to the simple subjective perspective. I really, really do like to try and keep things simple, but somehow I was trying to get what I considered to be a simple, important message across in the book. Took over 70,000 words, so it can't be that simple. But the essence is when we understand ourselves, and we can see more, or when we grow to see more about how our feelings are affecting and being reflected, then that's when we're really starting to make big strides. We're really starting to be able to get hold of stuff and deal with it on a different level. Anybody that looks for the answers to their problems outside of here is going to find a solution, but the problem is going to return time and time again, because it's only when we deal with the inner creative flow, which is being given to us as an opportunity, not as a pain, problem, chaos, whatever you want to say. It's an opportunity to grow, to see, to understand. And when we deal with it in here, when we come to terms with the energy within the being that is us, not the human, the energy being, then the issue stops coming at us in its reflected form in human existence, in human life, in day-to-day life. Otherwise, it just keeps coming around and around and around, and we never get rid of it. So, and this is one of the issues that I think a lot of people are coming through all of this stuff through some very well-meaning people, but what they fail to realize is the true essence, and this is simple. The true essence is exactly what your heart vibration is. Excuse me, I always do these after lunch, and it's not good, is it? But the true vibration, the true self, the true you, the true energy of you is there in the heart, and that is what is creating all of the subjective experience that you are living through. So. Good, thank you. Okay. Lynn, hello. That's nice. Nice to see you. Harold Stones. Yeah, the Harold Stones. They were so important to me. They were amazing. The Harold Stones are 3 stones, big old lump stones in a little village called Trellick in Monmouthshire, near where I used to live, near where Merlin's boy lives. And they were one of the places that I learned how directly connected, and maybe that's what Merlin's boy is talking about here, is that that was one of the places that I learned very clearly how the creative force of the heart is there. It reflects. Now, these places, you see, it's interesting. This mix. It's easy for me to sit here and say, well, there's these 2 levels of existence. There's the physicality and there's the spirituality, whichever way around you want to put them. And of course, it's not as simple as that at all, because it's a constant mishmash of different ratios of inputs from both of those sides, aspects of us. And so when we go to a place as a human being, we go to a place and we open up, and we are really at a sacred site is a place where the veil between our reality and the next reality is the thinnest. So what we get is a connection into the higher frequencies that are available to us when we go to these sacred sites. It's like any of these ancient Neolithic sacred sites, they will give you an altered state of consciousness if you're open to it, if you're perceptive to it. So, and what we're finding right now is that generally the whole vibration of the planet, it seems, is actually being raised more, so that we're into a higher frequency, so that actually people are experiencing more the subtle shifts of perception that can be achieved and could always be achieved by our generation in these times at sacred sites. So what I'm saying is, more and more people are able to tune in to the higher self and to that aspect of being more easily. Simple as that. Great thing. Don't be surprised if you come across more and more people that are slightly psychotic. The thing is that this is that a part of this psychosis. This is it's a strong word for being incredibly ungrounded. One of the things that happens when we do open up, and it can happen very quickly, if we open up and suddenly see the world with the new energy as being this amazing, amazing place, that we get absolutely rocketed into a new dimension, a new way of seeing everything, and everything is coincidental and everything is flowing so amazingly well, and it can knock you completely off your feet. because the energy of it is so strong. So really, one of the main things that any of us do that are talking to people that maybe have had a spiritual awakening or appear to be a little bit ungrounded is to really help that person to be more grounded, because it's so important that we don't allow people that we encounter to lose their contact with the human reality that they need to be experiencing in order to communicate and to simply be present as a human being. Now, so how do you get somebody to be more grounded? If, for a starter, it's not about judgment again. You see, it's not about judgment. It's not about saying somebody just because somebody's excited and really getting carried along with a wow, you see this and manifesting that and doing this and that's fine. If they're just really excited, that's fine. But if they're having trouble communicating, or how they are communicating their experiences, which might be quite amazing, the way that they're communicating it is so serious and so significant for them, or they seem rather bewildered by it, then that's an area of danger. That's a gray area where that person is in danger of losing their reality, for a little while. Psychosis. So the thing to do is to get them to be as grounded as possible. Now, sometimes grounding can be as simple as the visualization, is that you do the visualization. All of you will know about it, I expect. You do the visualization where you just allow your attention to go into the body, and then you visualize that you've got roots growing out of the soles of your feet as you stand on the ground, and those roots are going down and down and down and down and down, grabbing hold of the center of the earth, which is a wonderful, wonderful thing. And you're holding and you're pulling that, and you're feeling more grounded, and you're feeling all the muscles and the tendons and everything in your body, and you're just feeling really present. Great. For some people, that's not going to work because it's a visualization. So for some people, oh, excellent, Anne, that's great. For some people, what's important is to simply get the physical sensations coming back to them. So go run the hands under the tap, a cold tap, cold water, get the cold water going, get the awareness back into the physicality. And I was going to say, slap them a bit. I don't mean it like that. What I mean is get the person to just kind of like really feel their legs, feel their presence, feel their body, get them to be physically present, get them out of the brain, get them out of the head, get them out of there, get them into the body. Go dig the garden. That was always the advice that Hamish Miller would give people. Get out there and dig the garden, do something physical, get in the body. Partly why he really enjoyed being a blacksmith, because it kept him grounded. Even in his 80s, he was wielding a club hammer to do his metal work. Grounded. It's dangerous, actually, for a lot of us who spend so much time sitting at our desks, fiddling around with computers, scrolling on the screens. Your attention goes, you're out of your body. Be aware of that. Matt, I think, bless him, needs to just be really a little bit careful about being grounded. It's fantastic, it's fascinating, it's great, it's brilliant, it's exciting, it's all of that stuff. But it doesn't want to take over the life. It doesn't want to be too all-absorbing. This path, the spiritual path, wants to be taken gently, one step at a time, not in huge, great leaps, one step at a time. So the last sort of word on portals is really just to remind folks to go back to the old energy center in your own home. And in the book, that I've mentioned the book a lot, do pop along and have a look at the book. Okay, you take care, Merlin's boy. Cheers. Yeah, Robert Temple, of course. Yeah. So many names. In the book, yes, I plugged it a lot. Maybe Jay would do me a favor and pop it on there again. Oh yeah, okay. It's available at Amazon. That's what I was trying to say. Available at Amazon anywhere, wherever you are, it'll be available. Or you can get the ISBN number. It's on my Facebook or on. I'll pop it on the description under this, and you can order it from your local bookseller, so that your local bookseller is getting some trade. That is nice. So in the book, I talk about, connecting into the portal, the vortex in your own home. And when you do that, in the book, it follows a series of exercises. It follows a path that is nice and gentle and allows you to meditate, take your own time, and you're in familiar surroundings. You haven't got to worry about anybody else rattling away somewhere on the other side of the sacred site or anything like that. You've got your own space. And, the more you sit with that space and the more you meditate with that space and the more you just calmly relate to it in whatever way you want to, then you will be gently and subtly changing your experience of everyday life. Thanks, Jeff. Cheers. So in everything that we've been saying about portals and vortices, don't be at all concerned about what might come through said portal or vortex, especially when you're working with your own energy at home. Really, the clue is in the experience that you already have of life. If you already feel that life is oppressive and everything is geared to keep the masses subdued, everything. I mean, if you seriously feel it and see it everywhere, then I would suggest that you might, when you first open up the space and connect in at a higher frequency, a higher vibration into the creative force that is present in earth energy everywhere, then you might encounter some dodgy old tricksters and difficulties if you do that, because your energy is reflecting that oppression. Now, this is not to say that I don't think that everything is geared to oppress the masses. I think a lot of things were traditionally geared to oppress the masses and to completely remove from the masses the ability to manifest and create for themselves. I think that's the whole, as far as I'm concerned, that appears to be the whole point and appears to be the message of history. Is it present still today in the elite? Yeah, probably, but quite frankly, they probably need to do very little about it these days because there's such, we're making a job of it ourselves. We're just causing complete chaos, partly by the way that we are not mindful of how we interact with everything in our reflected reality. So I think, personally, I think that we're making the job of the elite destructive chaos very, very easy. Because we're just doing it for them. So let's not move directly into that. That gets very much into David Icke territory, but bless him, why not? I sympathize and empathize with quite a lot of what David Icke used to say. Not so sure these days, I don't follow him. So think of yourself as, the human being who's opening up, but also as a wave of perception. There is a very famous scientific experiment that started the whole quantum revolution, if you like, way back in the early 1900s, early 1900s, which part of which it's called the double slit experiment. And basically it was saying that photons are either behaving like waves or they're behaving like particles. Well, you know what? We can do that. We, human beings, our perception can do that. We can either think of ourselves as a particle, as a blob, rattle, 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 or we can think of ourselves as a wave and our consciousness as a wave, and it is affecting and it's directly interacting with other waves of consciousness. And those waves of consciousness are you, each and every one of you. There are 14 of you now on the call, and you're all waves of consciousness. You're all waves of consciousness. And I am here as a wave of consciousness. No, you say, well, yes, look, you're sitting there. You're a blob of bone and gristle and stuff. Well, actually, my consciousness is a wave. My awareness is a wave that is making this form be present, same as yours is. And so as we share these waves, we manifest this pattern that we call life. and that we call fundamentally life on Earth. So the energy being within is creating all the time. Well, that's been a lot of chat. How are you feeling? Did we answer the question? Did you feel as though we got anywhere with that whole perception of this idea? What have we titled this again? Let's go back to that title. Yeah, living in uncertain times, how intuition helps you navigate life. Did we tick that box, do you think? Does anybody think we might have ticked that box? Nobody's going to. Oh, I forgot to say that actually, of course. So this is something that will change for next chat, next live, because I deliberately limited the chat to subscribers only. So you have been fairly quiet. Hey, Tina Zimmer, good. Thank you for that. You have been fairly quiet, but it may well be that we have other subscribers, non-subscribers that wanted to put some comments in. But there you go. Okay, well, that's nice. Good. I'm glad you got that. And I'm glad that I hope you're enjoying the book if you started reading it. That's super. And well, great, James. Okay, good. All right. That's good to know that we've made some progress on that. Has anybody got a last question that they want to raise? I'm just going to have a slurp of tea. So excuse me while I stick this in my face. That's lovely and cold. No other questions at the moment. So, yeah, I know, subscribers only. That was a mistake. I was concerned last time we did a live, which was in November. We had what I think was a bot, and it was just causing chaos. So I didn't want that to happen again. So next time I will, and we'll do one next month. We'll do another live next month, and we'll pull out some more points that you want to learn about. And just going back to the channel, the structure of the channel. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's a good point. Okay, so I'll take that off as a question there from Nancy. Actually, it's actually a deeper question, Nancy, than I think you're probably aware. Hello, Alex. Good to see you. What is intuition? Well, okay, all of those moments when you feel something, or you think you should do something, or you want to pick up the phone and you speak to somebody and they were saying, oh, I just was thinking about you, or any of those aspects where you think there's something wrong with my dog, pet, or there's something wrong with my pet. I was going to say pet alligator, but I don't expect you've got a pet alligator, Nancy. But any of these times where you feel something and you think, you don't think logically about it. It's just okay. Now, when we put intuition into a structure, then we are, I classify dowsing as an intuitive tool, a tool that is utilizing our intuition. And to me, intuition is removed from logical thinking. Actually, in the book, I do talk about the two types of thinking. There's a type 1 thinking, which is quick, instant responses that come to somebody. They're instant answers. We think, yeah, no, this is blah, blah, blah. And there's type 2 thinking, which is logical thinking. It's problem solving. It's analysis. It's using the logic and using the brain, where you think, oh, I really got to think about this, right? To evaluate and sort a way of working, or a way of living, a way of being. So type 1 thinking is intuitive. It's fast, it's quick, it's instant. You know the answer. It's there. Whoa, yeah, that's that, right? Type 2 thinking is logical, structured. Now, when we're working with earth energy, or any of these aspects, or walking into a house and just kind of feeling the presence of how this feels, that's when you're using your intuitive senses. You're using your, the intuitive senses. Okay, so it's all of those things, because walking into a house is not and feeling the atmosphere in a house is not logical process. It's not like, oh, okay, how does this feel? Well, I can feel this in my right foot, so this is feeling like so and so. It's not. It's just like, oh, I like the vibes in here. Okay, intuition, and that's your subjective. That's your subjective point of view. It's built on your intuition is built on all of your conditioning, all of the years of conditioning as a human being. But your energy gives you a certain output, and that's your intuitive output. All right. Okie dokie dokie. If that hasn't made sense, Nancy, then do just pop a comment and we'll work on it some more. But folks, it's been just on the hour. I do have to go. So I thank you very, very, very much indeed. And one other thing before I go, because I put it down there. These are some gemstones from Otter Spirit. And I want to keep mentioning Otter Spirit because otterspirit.com is a source for gemstones and for protection, for grounding. They are the only gemstone provider, as far as I'm concerned, that I've come across that actually genuinely appears to function on an energy level of their product. I really do rate their product hugely. I've put these two on, kind of classified under protection, but actually I think what I've said before last year was that in wearing those for a few weeks, it was an interesting experience, because it was like they made me more me, which is a weird thing. But if we think about protection, then in a way that's what we would expect, because we would expect to be feeling more present and more aware of who we are. So, okay, good. Yeah, good. Excellent, Tina. I'm really pleased about that. I was actually thinking about maybe I could try and get the founder of the company on board and have a little interview with her. I think it's a her. It's a family-run business. Because I think what they're doing is fantastic. And every time you make a purchase, a dollar goes to the sea otters. And I have to say, if there's an animal that is worth supporting, it's otters. So, okie dokie. Thank you. Thank you for allowing me that last plug. It is important because they do actually help fund the work that we're doing. And hopefully, if we can now grow the channel a little bit more, then we can do lots more up here for you. Thank you, Lynn. Good, I'm pleased. Yes, thank you, JF. Thank you for popping that on there as well. Otterspirit.com. Wonderful. Okie dokie, folks. I won't give you a date of our next live, but we will be doing one, and we'll try and get it together for next month. It will be towards the end of the month. I've got a busy month next month. If you're around in the area in North Yorkshire at all, home territory, I am giving a talk on the 21st or something at Riding's Dowsers. That's about a 4-hour thing with, we'll be doing some exercises and stuff. I'm kind of a little bit uncomfortable about it because I haven't written it yet. So it'll be good. If you're in the area, pop in. Could be tricky for JF coming across from Canada, but there you go. Lisa, good to see you. Okay, thank you. You look after yourselves. So goodbye, everybody, and I will see you next time. Thank you for being there, and thank you to all my supporter members as well. I didn't mention you earlier, but thank you for being there too. So you look after yourselves. See you next month. Bye-bye. Bye.